What's up guys, and welcome back to another Geeky Gecko Creations video. In this video we're going to show more groups that we are setting up in 2025. I just set up another 10 groups tonight, and so we'll take a look at 7 to maybe all 10 of those. So let's take a look. Okay, so let's start it off with a project group that we haven't shown before in our 2025 group setup video, and this would be a group of midnight blizzard slash purplish blizzard snow Afghanicus leopard geckos. And so from this pairing right here, we're going to get Afghanicus, blizzard, some snow, some super snow, and then all of the babies are going to be varying levels of purple to pink to like platinum-ish gray. And so blizzard was one of my favorite genetics when I first got into leopard geckos, and honestly it's still one of my favorites. The goal with this specific group is to go for higher amounts of purple. So this boy had a lot of darkness to him, a lot of purpleness to him growing up. You could probably see a little bit of some of that right now, some pinkish purplish hues to him. And then between these two girls, you could probably see the bottom girl here is a little bit more yellow. So if I had to guess, she might not be max snow, and this girl might be max snow. However, you can't really know 100% with blizzards, but they all come out cool. They all come out different. The goal of this project particularly is I would love to produce the most amount of pinkish purplish geckos that I can, but if I could get high white blizzards as well because of the snow, I'm not going to cry about that. All right, the second group tonight is actually a one-on-one pairing for now, because I did not find another girl that was Black Knight and Snow that was also ovulating. But if I do find one, I'll just put her with this group, up to 3 females per group, and I'm cool with that. Let's take a look at these two geckos. When you're talking about Black Knights, you're gonna have a lot of variance, and what variance means is just that babies will differ. Some babies will be pitch black, some babies will be dark, some babies will be light, some babies will be medium. So what we have here in my hands, we have this gecko right here, which is 50% Black Knight, 50% just regular macularis, and she is a max snow. And then we have this boy right here, which is 75% Black Knight, 25% just regular macularis, and he is a max snow. Now, he was currently one of the darker max snow Black Knight males that I had available for this 2025 season to breed. And so I do have some other Black Knight max snow males, and they are all interesting in their own ways, but this is the guy that I chose for this group, because ultimately the goal would be to produce the darkest level of Black Knight max snows to lead into the Panda project, which is Super Snow Eclipse Black Knight. It's also a really good idea when you first set up these groups to make sure the newspaper is nice and wet. So I spray it down decent. You don't want to overdo it. It's not like flowing with water, and you want to make sure the water bowl doesn't overflow more into it since it's already wet. The newspaper, when it's wet and kind of adheres to the plastic, it won't move around a lot, because I don't like it when the geckos can move the newspaper and then they're slipping and sliding on the plastic. So to prevent that, just spray down the plastic real good. And as long as you don't have a lid on this, it shouldn't get too humid, as long as there's some airflow passing through that tub. So everybody's situation is a little bit different, but just keep in mind you don't want them to be too wet, but some amount of moisture does help hold that newspaper down, especially when they get a little bit wild breeding sometimes. Okay, you probably saw this project in my last video, one of my last pairing videos, with the Firebold project. So Firebold is tangerine plus bold stripes. Now the project isn't as far along as regular bold stripe. So bold stripe leopard geckos that are yellow will 99% of the time still have more thicker striping than the bold stripe or Bengal project. However, there are some really nice bold stripes and Bengals out there, and that's what I'm seeking to do with this project, to make the nicest, most tangerine bold stripe Bengal Firebold type stuff that we can. Now this male has already bred to a number of Firebold girls this year, so I'm really excited and crossing my fingers that we will get some pretty nice offspring from all the girls that he's been paired to. And you've probably heard me say it in my videos, but the camera does not do them justice. They are so much nicer in person, much more orange in coloration, nice green hues, purple contrast, nice lavenders, just very nice geckos altogether. I'm really liking this bold stripe Firebold Bengal project. All right, this is one that I'm actually maybe one of the most excited about, just because next to tangerine, white and yellow tangerine is my second favorite morph. So my first favorite morph is Charmander, right? a solid orange, pure orange leopard gecko. We breed a ton of them. I love Charmander. It'll always be a cornerstone project for us. But my second slash possibly third favorite is something like this, which is a white and yellow tangerine that just has really good contrast between the oranges and the yellows. Just a beautiful, beautiful gecko. If you've ever seen one of these guys in person or own a tangerine white and yellow, that's a really nice lineage and expression, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. This guy is white and yellow and tangerine, Tremper albino, and then we have two red diamond girls that we are pairing him to. So red diamond is a Tremper albino tangerine project that is centered around jungle pattern and high white expression. So you can see this one right here has a lot of high white remaining. This one does not, but sometimes that happens, and sometimes with age, the white will get covered up by orange. But I think these two are gonna make such a nice pairing with this boy right here. So now we're gonna get Tremper albino, tangerine, and white and yellow all in the mix for the offspring of these three animals. Really excited about this. Okay, speaking about tangerine, my favorite right here, and again, the camera, oh my gosh, guys, I am so sorry. Not doing this group any justice whatsoever. I will explain in a second what is going on here, but first I just want you to kind of see all the different geckos involved in this group. So this is a very high-end, high saturation, high contrast, Tremper albino, tangerine, mandarin inferno group that I have set up right here. This is the first holdback of what I am calling the Fire Project. And you might have seen me release a video on this. I'll leave it in the top right corner where I have a Charizard on the front. The Fire Tremper albino project. If you were to see this guy in person, so orange, so saturated, and just growing up he had this like burnt fiery red orange color to him. You might be able to see a little bit of it in his head slash face here, but the camera is watering it down. And so in this group we have a fire girl which popped out the same like him, reddish orange, and another two fire girls that are not Tremper albino, but they are possibly het for Tremper albino. Now with the Fire Project particularly, Tremper albino is the goal. So this guy is the goal. We have another project called the Red Dragon Project, which is something like this, basically, where the animal is like fiery reddish orange, but not Tremper albino. It's not albino. Here's the other girl that was moving around a little bit, but very nice contrast and color on these girls. So the offspring from these four leopard geckos should be pretty nice. Trying to keep them all in the shot here for a moment, and looks like we got it. So really excited about this. Again, it's hard to stress the level of color and saturation that these guys actually have, but take my word for it, it's super phenomenal. And if you ever come to see us in person, at a show, at an event, or anywhere where we are, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about with these guys. Or if you buy one of their offspring. You know, on our website, our slogan is quality geckos for quality price. The higher the price, the more colorful and saturated the animal. We know that sometimes in person, depending on the computer screen you're looking at, depending on the photos that we got that day, the animals might not look as good in the photos as they do in person, but I always try to replicate and match the way that they look in person compared to translating that into photos. And then in addition to that, another way that you could tell how nice they are is on our website, you'll see like a gecko like this versus a gecko like this, which you can already tell a little bit. One is more colorful in the picture than the other, but the price for sure solidifies it for you that, hey, there's something special about this animal. It's more colorful than the other animals that are lower priced. So this is my #1 favorite leopard gecko project, morph, and probably one of my favorite groups that I set up this season, just because of how much I love tangerine and because of the specialty of this being our Fire Mandarin Inferno Tremper albino special tangerine group. One of them. We'll see. We'll probably have some more groups, obviously, as the season unfolds and we find girls that are ovulating, but these are the girls that are ovulating right now. So this boy has 3 girls to get to in 4 days, and then in a month we will make sure all the girls are laying eggs. If they're not laying eggs, we will repair him with this group and should be good to go. All right, now the rest of the groups we set up today are all Black Knight groups. So I will show you all the different Black Knight groups we set up. So this is a pure Black Knight group. So let me show you all 3 geckos that we have here. And what I mean by pure is that they're all pretty much 100% Black Knight. And again, like I was saying earlier, even if it's 100% Black Knight, it might not be totally dark. You can see these 2 females right here are gorgeous expressions of a Black Knight. S tier for sure, 100%, almost perfect S tier. If you know about our tier system, I'll leave that video in the top right corner of how we grade our Black Knight quality. But this is a D tier girl right here, and she is 75% Black Knight. These 2 are 100% Black Knight, but sometimes 75% Black Knights will be this dark. And so all you need is 75% to get this dark. And when they are 75%, they will be bigger and more robust and healthier animals in general compared to what can happen sometimes with 100% girls, which is if you're inbreeding too much, they could be smaller, they could be less fertile. So this is actually a 100% girl, and she is not small. She's a pretty good size. She's robust. She's got thickness to her. But just from experience, you want to try to avoid inbreeding too much. You want to outcross as much as you can to bring in variety of bloodlines, variety of DNA. And even if an animal is not dark like this is a 75%, I would call this a C/D tier Black Knight. But when it's bred to a gecko like this, which this guy's been breeding a lot, so he's lightened up a little bit. Sometimes that happens with Black Knight males. They lighten up a little as they breed a lot and as they age, and that doesn't seem to happen with females for some reason. So if you want the darkest of the dark, you're probably better off looking for a female, because a lot of males will not be the darkest of the dark. But regardless, this is 100% Black Knight, pure Black Knight boy that we've bred from our groups. And so you can see he's a little smaller than the average, you know, like tangerine adult male. He's probably 10-15% smaller than the average adult tangerine male. Now, some geckos are just smaller naturally, but because the Black Knights are a very line-bred/inbred project to begin with, no matter where you get them from in the world, they've just been heavily inbred a lot to retain that dark color. You want to try to outcross as much as possible, bring in new bloodlines, cross out geckos of your own, cross them back to diversify, do all that cool stuff. But you can see the darkness of the female compared to the darkness of the male. And so if you are looking for the darkest of the dark, a lot of times the females will fulfill that role better and more consistently than the males. And that could go back to the theory that people theorize that when you incubate at lower temperatures, it makes the animals darker, and when you incubate at higher temperatures, it makes the animals lighter and brighter. But I wouldn't say that that's scientifically proven. I've hatched out a lot of the opposite, right? I've hatched out pitch black Black Knights at 88 degrees Fahrenheit incubating, and I've hatched out light Black Knights at 79 degrees incubating. And then same with tangerine. I've hatched out bright tangerines at 79 Fahrenheit incubating, and I've hatched out, you know, dull tangerines at 90 degrees Fahrenheit. So I do think that sometimes people put a label on something too fast when we don't really know all the parameters that are involved. Diet, natural selection, natural variants of genetics that are being selected for coding within the animal. There's natural variants in every single offspring of every single creature on the face of this planet pretty much. So it's really, really hard to pinpoint sometimes what is the one thing that is contributing to the color or the pattern of this animal. And sometimes we have guesses and inclinations, but that's all I'm going to say on the matter. Is it's a theory in the hobby, a theory that I don't personally hold to too much, because like I said, I've seen too many offspring show the exact opposite of what the theory is supposed to represent. And I think it's more or less just the quality of the parents, the quality of the lineage. Lineage does count, you know, going generations back. How much tangerine is in that animal? How much Black Knight is in that animal? Because that could pop out 3 generations later, right? Anyone ever have like the hair color of their grandfather but not their father? You know, there's things that pop out 3 generations later sometimes. And when you're sticking to a project like this, it's good to breed that back to each other as much as possible while outcrossing to achieve that goal of heightened levels of darkness. And this guy, for being a little bit of a smaller male, he sure gets the job done though. He is labeled as a good breeder, and I know for sure last year we probably bred him to like 15 different groups, like 5 times for each of those groups, because I will do like repairings 2 or 3 times per group per season. And so this guy probably bred over 100 times last year, and I have him marked down as a very fertile breeder, a very good breeder. Okay, now this is the one thing you need to watch out for when spraying a lot of water in a tub, is sometimes the humidity in the tub and the humidity in the air, or they'll splash water from the water bowl into the worms, and the worms will get a little bit moist, a little bit humid, a little bit wet, and it kind of like soaks up all the vitamins. And you definitely want to make sure males and females have good vitamins, good calcium supplements for their breeding. But this water will evaporate very quickly too, within less than a day. Now, I won't show all of these groups that we have, but maybe what I'll do is I'll show the different males. So we have 4 more groups that are all Afghanicus, Turkmenicus, Black Knights. So this is a 50% Black Knight, 25% Afghanicus, 25% Turkmenicus. Like our last video showed, all the pros and the benefits of outcrossing, and animals like this can create pitch black animals. So all you need in a female is 50% or more, and all you need in a male is 75% or more, and you breed those two to each other as long as one of them is really dark, right? So like in this instance, this is 100% male and he's really dark. Like I said, the males are often not as dark as the females, but this is pretty dark for a male. I would still say that he is a high A tier male, and so he has a very powerful punch of genetic Black Knight DNA and genetics inside of him. So when you take this 100% male and you breed him to a 50% Black Knight female that also has Afghanicus DNA, which, like I said in my last video, Afghanicus DNA will naturally make the animals have a higher likelihood for darker pigmentation. You should get some very nice offspring in the next generation, which the next generation of these would be 75% Black Knight, and then there's just going to be a natural variance of pitch black animals, dark animals, medium dark animals, and lightly dark animals. If I had to give you an approximation of the percentages, I would say about 10 to 20% might be S tier, and then like 50% would be like A/B tier, and then about another 25% would be like C/D tier. So that's kind of my experience with working with these guys and outcrossing this project and all that. You can see there's 3 of those girls in this group. All 3 of these girls are 50% Black Knight, 25% Afghanicus, 25% Turkmenicus. Turkmenicus increases the size, Afghanicus increases the darkness, and of course Black Knight increases the darkness. So really good pairing right here. And like I said, we got 3 more groups of these, but I will just show you the males that we have for those groups, because the females all pretty much look the same. Some of the females, like I said, they'll be a little bit darker, but most 50% girls are not going to be super dark. However, once you start getting Afghanicus DNA in there, it starts to make even the 50% animals darker more consistently on average. And so that's why I'm really excited to be working our Obsidian project, which is our pure Afghanicus, pure Black Knight crosses and crossbacks. And then the Turkmenicus one is just like an offshoot of that project, just to create some variety of DNA. So we're creating a lot of variety of DNA for our Black Knights, and you can take a look on our website, geekygeckocreations.com right now, and see some of that variety starting to hit the market hard from our website. All right, this is one of the other males that is going to another group of 3. I call them DBBNs. I will give you guys a little bit of insight into my acronyms and labeling. DB stands for Dark Boy, because Dark Boy was a male leopard gecko that was hatched from Afghanicus and Turkmenicus pairing, and then he was bred to pure 100% Black Knights and created the DBs that we have in our project lines today. Okay, we have one of the girls trying to make a getaway from the tub over there. So this guy is obviously a little bit less dark than the last male that I showed, but he is 100% Black Knight male, and so he has all the potential in him to make S tier and pitch black Black Knights when he is bred to either dark females or 50 to 75% to 100%, you know, Black Knight females. Anywhere in that range, and you'll make some really nice babies with the gecko like this. All right, here's our second to last male, and this is definitely an S tier male. So you can see if we get really close, he's really dark, but you can see a little bit of obviously pattern underneath, but that happens with a lot of Black Knights that are A tier or S tier. What I would call a perfect S tier are the exceptionally rare ones, which are the ones that barely show any or don't show any pattern through the pigment at all. But this guy I would still definitely classify as an S tier gecko, and he is 100% Black Knight male, breeding to 3 more of those DBBNs, Dark Boy, Black Knight, Generation 1 females. And again, those females are 25% Afghanicus, 25% Turkmenicus, 50% Black Knight, and all you need to make pitch black animals just like this is at least a 50% Black Knight animal, preferably 75%, and preferably animals that are showing some higher level of darkness or have dark genetics in their DNA like Afghanicus does. Okay, and last but certainly not least, we have another, I would say high A tier or low S tier. No, I'd probably say high A tier, because as I get a little bit closer, you can see this patch is just a little too light for me to call an S tier, but it's really close. I mean, once you start getting into the nitty gritty of grading, a perfect S tier is really rare. So you do have to allow for some gradients. Regardless, this is 100% male that is 100% dark enough to produce pitch black animals, especially when paired with, again, like I said, females that are 50% or greater, preferably showing high levels of darkness, or preferably 75% or more pure Black Knight genetics, or preferably having some other type of dark blood in them, which there are a couple different projects out there that do have dark lineages besides Black Knight. Other melanistic projects, I would say the Black Knight's the most popular, the most consistently pitch black and dark, but if you take any of those projects and breed it into the Black Knight project, you're going to stand a higher likelihood of producing darker animals, since that project is already coding for darker animals. Now, you know me, my favorite to recommend is the Afghanicus, because the Afghanicus has the blackest of the black pigment naturally when it comes to the vast amount of spotting that they have on their body. And spotting, again, if you watched my last video and didn't see my layers video, I'll leave that video in the top right corner here, but you have to understand what layers of color are causing what reactions on the gecko's skin. And layer number 3, which is the spotting layer, is the absolute darkest pigment that leopard geckos produce, and that is something that Afghanicus specializes in, and there's no other species, subspecies, project, or line out there besides a pure Afghanicus that has as good darkness naturally as the Afghanicus does. So bringing the Afghanicus into the Black Knight has always been a high desire of mine, and something that I've been working on perfecting over the last few years and few generations. And so now we're getting into generations 2 and 3, and we're seeing some really nice stuff from that. I'm calling it my Obsidian project, which I think I have a video on from like a couple years back, so I'll leave that in the top right corner here. But regardless, our goal, produce the darkest, blackest, most consistent Black Knights ever for you to enjoy. Alright guys, well, I don't have a name for this guy yet. I'm gonna give you guys a chance to probably name a lot of our like stud breeders and animals that we plan to keep around for a while. So I'll do a video in the future where we can kind of get some name suggestions on as many of our breeders as we can. I probably don't have the time for that this year, but maybe leading into subsequent years, we can get all of these animals identified with names, and then you guys can help with that process. So let me know what you thought of the video. Let me know if you have any questions in a comment below, or if you would like to suggest other content or videos that we cover. But it seems like you guys have really been enjoying just seeing the animals we have, looking at the projects that are up and coming, looking at the holdbacks, and I can do plenty of those videos, guys, because we got 1,000 leopard geckos or so in here. So there's a lot of leopard geckos that I can show to you. And big shout out to Danielle. Danielle, if you see this, thank you so much. And everybody, subconsciously say thank you to Danielle, because she has really been working hard over here, keeping us up to date on cleaning, keeping these geckos fed, healthy, and happy, so that I can have time for more leopard gecko updates to the website and more videos just like this. So thanks, Danielle. We'll do a little leopard gecko lick of appreciation, and we will see you guys in the next video. Until then, my friends, stay safe, pursue your reptile passion, and have a geeky gecko great day. Peace.
Oh, hello! I didn't see you there. I was just walking my gecko when I wanted to tell you about Geeky Gecko Creations. We understand here at Geeky Gecko Creations that buying a gecko for the modern American is the most important decision they'll ever make. That's why the owner Frank offers you this guarantee, that your gecko will be purchasable online, will ship on a dime, and will arrive and thrive for its new Geeky Gecko lifetime. But you can't have this gecko, this one is mine. Say goodbye to the days of regular run-of-the-mill pet store geckos who may or may not hate the things you hold dear. What do you mean you hate 18th century English architecture? Here at GGC, our reptiles are handled regularly to help them acclimate to humans, and for even more knowledge before adoption, Frank can make you a personalized video of your chosen pet or pets and detail their temperament before you make the final decision. Then it's just a quick online order to ship your new reptile best friend right to your door, safe and sound nearly year-round. There's even more options than just geckos too. But that's not a part of this commercial, and I'm running out of ad space. So be sure to check out the Geeky Gecko Creations YouTube channel and website on the regular to see the new morphs the boys in the lab are cooking up. Alright, Frank, I'm looking for the gecko. I don't... Whoa! Oh, God! Ha! It's fantastic! It's big! It's bigger than a... Okay, Frank! Frank, it's got my leg! Frank! Geeky Gecko Creations, bringing you the geckos of the future today.